we were to ask one another, what are the most startlingly wonderful words ever uttered by human lips, I think it would be hard to improve on what Jesus says in Matthew 11, where he says, I am gentle and lowly in heart. The whole passage reads like this: Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Those words, I am gentle and lowly in heart, are really worth a lifetime of pondering. Just think of what each word there means. Jesus says, I. This is his own claim. This is not what his disciples are saying about him. This is not what a personality test spat out. This is his own claim, his own words. He says, I am. He doesn't say I was at one time, but now his heart has cooled off. He doesn't say I might one day be or will be once you get your act together. He says I am. In fact, Thomas Goodwin's burden in his book, The Heart of Christ, which is very much embedded within this project, Gentle and Lowly, his burden was to convince his readers that just because Jesus is way up high now in heaven doesn't mean that he is any more distant from us now here on earth. In fact, by his Holy Spirit, he is closer to us than Christ was to his disciples. We'll return in future videos to think about who the Holy Spirit is and how that is true. But Jesus says, I am gentle and lowly in heart. This is not a past reality, but a present reality. This is who he is. It's not who he one day might be. This is who he is. I am, and then he says, gentle. Who of us would ever have guessed that he would use that word as the first word out of his mouth to describe his heart? What a wondrous adjective to use. I am gentle. Jesus is saying, I am the most tender, non-manipulative, non-abrasive person you could ever come across. He says, I am gentle and lowly, to drive it home even more. These are overlapping ideas, but distinct. I am lowly in heart. In other words, I am the most accessible, the most approachable person in the universe. You don't have to go through security to get to me. You don't have to take a ticket and get in line. You're not going to be put on hold. I am the most accessible person in the universe, glorious as he is, the Revelation 1 Christ, the Christ who is ineffable and magnificent, resplendent, divine. That Christ says, I am gentle and lowly, and he says, in heart. This is not something peripheral to him. This is what his own heart is. In other words, this is what you could say gets him out of bed in the morning. This is the deepest, innermost core to who he is. This is what pours out of him, his heart. The heart in the Bible is not just emotions or what you are feeling in a frothy kind of way. It's not less than our emotions. But the heart is the innermost core of why we do what we do. And when Jesus comes and tells us what his heart is, he says he is gentle and lowly in heart. This is who he is. Now, you might object and say, Dane, you're cherry picking. This is one verse, one short little passage out of everything that we have in the Gospels. And that would be a valid objection if everything else that we saw in the Gospels was Jesus walking around like an aloof seminary professor dispensing wisdom dispassionately, or a celebrity preacher, whisked off to the green room, untouchable, or a politician that you have to go through many layers of security to get through, or something like that. But of course, what we see of Jesus on every page of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is exactly what is taught from his own lips in Matthew 11. Matthew 11:28 through 30 is just the tip of the iceberg. What we see him teach in Matthew 11 is what we see Christ do all over the four Gospels. So he is so clearly drawn irresistibly to sin and suffering, to pain and anguish, to guilt and shame. This is what his heart is drawn to. It's what he opens himself up to, which is the exact opposite of how we operate, of course. We see sin, we see someone suffering. Our natural instinct is really to be put off by that, repelled by that, to flee from that. Christ is the photo negative of that. He's the exact opposite. His heart is drawn into sin and suffering when he sees it. As we launch through this video series, remember, bear in mind, be astonished at, with me, that he is gentle and lowly in heart. We are the cold, cool, calculating ones, not he, though we naturally think of him in that way. All it requires to experience the embrace of Jesus Christ is to collapse into his arms, and anyone can do that.